This one are the Shinko own. And the Shinko own with this. The launch of that
we already have the Chief of Staff to His Excellency President Honorable Mgbeke already made his way to the room. Governors of Borno, Nasarawa.
Shettima, a very good partner on the journey for progress. Your Excellencies, state governors, it is very heartwarming to see all of you present here. I cannot go item by item, state by state, but accept it as a collective respect and acknowledgement of your dedication and commitment. But we have one governor who is not a member of a tenorized constituency, a very ad-not governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Kadoso. I will say no to everything. I hope he will address you on the liquidity problem that I am facing as the president. But I congratulate him on the sustained stability of the economy, exchange rate, inflation going down, and all aspects of our macroeconomic situation being achieved. Thank you, Mr. Governor of CBN. Thank you very much. Honorable ministers, members of National Assembly, development partners, private sector leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to address the second edition of the National Economic Council Conference at a critical moment in Nigerian development journey. I commend the National Economic Council under the leadership of the able Vice President Kasim Shettima for sustaining this vital platform for strategic dialogue, policy coordination, and collective action across national and subnational governments. NEC. NEC remains a cornerstone of physical federalism and economic governance in our country. The theme of this conference, delivering inclusive growth and sustainable national development, the Renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030 speak directly to our national aspirations. It reflects our resolve to move from recovery to transformation, and from narrow growth to one that is inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Nigeria stands at a defining crossroad. We face inherent structural challenges, including macroeconomic imbalances, infrastructural deficits, unemployment, poverty, climate vulnerabilities, and limited physical space. Yet, our people possess the resilience, creativity, and determination to overcome these realities. Since the inception of this administration, we have undertaken bold and necessary reforms to stabilize the economy, restore confidence, and lay the foundation for long-term growth. These reforms are instruments for delivering prosperity, dignity, and opportunity to all Nigerians. I must say again at this junction, the monetary policy that we've embarked on since the reforms has yielded positive results and is being recognized around the world. Thank you, Mr. Governor of Sambia. We have recorded notable achievements that reflect our commitment to cooperative federalism and inclusive development. This, first, state and local government now receive increased and more predictable federal allocations, improving their capacity to pay salaries, invest in infrastructure, and deliver social services. Second, we have strengthened the macroeconomic stability through improved revenue performance, stronger public financial management, and enhanced physical coordination. Third, we have prioritized infrastructural development across the transportation, power, digital connectivity, housing, and irrigation as a catalyst for inclusive growth. Fourth, we have expanded social investment and human capital programs targeting vulnerable households, youth, women, and small businesses. The Renewed Hope World Development Project further demonstrates our commitment to grassroots inclusion through a bottom-up approach to national development. These successes reflect strong collaboration among federal, the state government, and the local government, development partners, and the private sector. The Renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030 marks the next phase of our national journey. It is evidence-based, realistic, and anchored on an inclusive, balanced, and environmentally sustainable growth. The plan prioritizes economic diversification and productivity, human capital development, national competitiveness, based on comparative advantage, private sector-led growth, and climate resilience. It is success will depend largely on effective implementation and the state and local government at the state and local government levels, making NEC central to aligning national priorities with national realities. The conference has reinforced collaboration, shared accountability, and a focus on practical solutions and measurable outcomes. We must move decisively from declarations to implementation through data-driven decisions, making peer learning among states, local governments, and innovative financing models a reality. Nigeria's diversity is our strength. When state grows, Nigeria grows. When growth reaches the poorest household, national stability is strengthened. When development is sustainable, our children inherit hope. The task before us is demanding, but the opportunity is historic. The Renew Hope agenda is a national compact, a promise that the sacrifices of Nigeria will lead to a stronger, fairer, and more prosperous nation. I'm confident that the resolution of this conference will include dairy farming, livestock investment, ranches, and diversification of our agricultural produce. I promise you here, I play my part. There are 7 stone and zones, states of mechanization that is coming. I promise Nigeria that this will be delivered. And I'm living here again to further find means to strengthen our security forces, to defeat terrorism and combat it. That, I promise you, is what has kept all of us sleepless at night. But I assure you that we will win with determination and resilience. We will overcome this unacceptable terrorism and banditry. It's not part of our culture. It's foreign to us. So, it's an economic hindrance if we do not find immediate solution to it. I commend many of you, particularly the governor of Borno State, governor of Katsina, governor of Kaduna, and many of you who have done so much to defend our freedom, liberty, and our commonwealth. On this note, I hereby declare the 2nd edition of the National Economic Council Conference opened. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
It is not the size of a membership that gives a union its consequence. Neither is it the frequency of agreement that defines its strength. What truly gives meaning to a union such as ours is the quality of ideas that animate it. Month after month, we have disagreed. We have debated. We have tested one another's assumptions. We have agreed. Yet what has kept the National Economic Council alive and relevant as the representative of this union is our shared awareness of what is at stake if we fail. So on this day, as I have always done, I must express my deepest gratitude to all members of this council, our governors, our public administrators, and every stakeholder who has insisted on keeping our collective conscience awake. The National Economic Council is not only the largest gathering of elected executives at the highest level of government in this nation, it is the forum that gives each constituent unit of this federation a voice in shaping our economic destiny. In this sense, NEC has been both the mirror that reflects our national realities and the catalyst that propels action. We are gathered here because we understand, perhaps more than anyone else, the consequences of failure, not in theory, but in the lived experience across our states and communities. This conference, therefore, is a continuation of our covenant with the Nigerian people, a moment to take stock of the task ahead and a demonstration of the harmonious relationship His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has shared with this council. Through these memorable years of inevitable and transformative reforms, aimed at resetting the foundations of our economy. It is for me a profound honor to welcome you all to yet another moment in the making of history. The theme of this year's conference, delivering inclusive growth and sustainable national development, could not be more apt. Across developed economies, the prevailing wisdom is no longer growth for its own sake, but growth that accommodates all and endures. This philosophy underpins the global pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals. Our pathway to this reality lies in reinventing our strategies, harmonizing our visions across all tiers of government, and taking decisive steps towards building a resilient and equitable economy. That is the purpose that has brought us here today. The post-COVID-19 world is one defined by the urgency of overcoming excessive dependency. Every nation emerged from that period not only bruised by social dislocation, but also resolved to confront long-standing structural weaknesses at home. No one here will deny the sincerity with which His Excellency President Tinubu has honored his promise to insulate the Nigerian economy in a world increasingly shaped by geopolitical tensions and rising economic protectionism. The inclusive goals on our radar is not an exercise in sloganeering. We have confronted the macroeconomic obstacles before us. What remains is to ensure that progress filters down to the everyday lives of our people. This is precisely why the National Economic Council remains the most suitable vehicle for delivering the promise of inclusive growth. Our mission, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is incomplete if a child born in Lafia does not have the same chance to thrive as one born in Lagos. If the farmer in Makurdi, the entrepreneur in Aba, and the student in Sokoto cannot all find dignity, opportunity, and hope within the Nigerian dream. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the journey towards inclusive growth demands sustainable national development, development that balances expansion with equity, opportunity with responsibility, and prosperity with environmental stewardship. It is no longer enough to measure progress by GDP figures alone. We must ask harder questions. How does growth transform lives? How does it uplift communities? How does it strengthen national cohesion? As members of this council and leaders of our respective states, the weight of responsibility rests squarely on our shoulders. Aside from being a policy advisory body to the President, nature remains the engine room for consensus building and coordinated action across the federal and subnational governments. This retreat presents a unique opportunity to onboard new governors and deepen our shared understanding of NEC's role in shaping Nigeria's economic destiny. To align federal and state strategies with the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and the Nigeria Agenda 2050, especially in poverty reduction, job creation, and social protection. To strengthen collaboration across regions through practical frameworks for inter-regional trade, investment, and infrastructure, harnessing the comparative advantages of each geopolitical zone, to explore pathways for fiscal sustainability at both federal and subnational levels, reforming tax systems, and enhancing internally generated revenue without overburdening our people, and to ensure that next resolutions translate into legislative and executive action that delivers tangible outcomes at federal, state, and community levels. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria's future will not be decided in Abuja alone. It will be shaped in our states, in our local communities, and through the choices we make in forums such as this. This is why today calls for a renewed commitment to collaboration, pragmatism, and a shared responsibility. As deliberations unfold over the next 2 days, I urge each of us to be bold in thought, courageous in questioning the status quo, and resolute in crafting an implementable roadmap that speaks not just to growth, but to growth that is inclusive, sustainable, and transformative. History will not judge us by what we discuss, but by the clarity of the actions and the impact inspired by such decisions. May this conference mark another step towards a nation that works for all its people. Once again, I wish to tender the apologies of His Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State, for his inability to attend this function, fundamentally because of the security challenges we are facing in Kwara. A minute silence has been observed in honor of the victims, but victims of terrorism cuts across all regions and all parts of the state, from Anambra to Sokoto. So I will crave your indulgence, Your Excellencies, to once again observe a minute silence in honor of the victims from all states of the Federation, and a salute to our gallant armed forces who are on the front line protecting the lives and properties of the citizenry. Your Excellencies, let us once again rise for a minute silence. May the souls of all the victims of insurgency, banditry, rest in perfect peace, and may God give our armed forces the courage and protection to confront the challenges at the front lines. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much. His Excellency.
On behalf of the 36 governors of the Federation, it is indeed my honor to welcome you to the second edition of the National Economic Council Conference. We meet at a consequential moment in Nigeria's national history. Since the year 2023, our country has engaged in a deliberate economic reset, adjusting old assumptions, confronting inherited constraints, and making necessary choices even when they are difficult. Across all tiers of government, we're navigating deep fiscal, monetary, institutional, and social reforms. These decisions are not merely about stabilizing the economy. They are laying the foundations for broad-based, durable, and politically sustainable growth. The National Economic Council stands at the center of this effort. By constitutional design, NEC is the forum where macroeconomic policy meets the lived realities of the states, where national ambition is tested against implementation capacity, and where cooperation, not combined, defines economic governance in a federal system, and in that sense, NEC is not simply an advisory body. It is the engine room of coordinated economic leadership. Today's conference is about alignment between fiscal and monetary policy, between federal priorities and state execution, between growth objectives and political economic realities, and between national plans and local delivery. The macroeconomic direction is clear. Nigeria is pursuing stabilization alongside reform, restoring fiscal sustainability, expanding revenue mobilization, managing inflationary pressures, strengthening the external sector, and rebuilding investor confidence. But we must be clear that macroeconomic outcomes are ultimately produced at the subnational level through state investment decisions, tax administration, service delivery, security outcomes, and human capital development. This is why fiscal federalism is not an academic conversation. It is a practical imperative. States are not peripheral to economic management. They are central to competitiveness, growth, and social stability. The conversations before us on tax reform, fiscal sustainability, subnational competitiveness, and implementation readiness go directly to the heart of this reality. Growth, however, cannot be pursued in abstraction from political economy. Policies must be credible, implementable, and socially legitimate. The Renewed Hope Word-Based Development Plan reinforces a simple truth. National transformation ultimately happens at the community level. And this is where citizens experience the economy not as projection or statistics, but as jobs, prices, security, schools, healthcare, and opportunities. The structure of this conference reflects that integrated understanding from macroeconomic outlooks and fiscal coordination to interstate collaboration, domestic production, human capital development, and security. The sessions recognize that development is a system, and that weakness in one part constrains progress in all others. Intergovernmental coordination, therefore, becomes the decisive variable. No single tier of government can deliver inclusive growth alone. Federal policies require state-level execution. State initiatives require national coherence, and both depend on credible partnerships with the private sector and our development partners. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, the Nigeria Governors Forum approaches this conference with a clear and settled conviction that sustained national prosperity will not be achieved through centralization or fragmentation, but through cooperative, shared responsibility and disciplined implementation. We look forward to frank conversations, practical solutions, and outcomes that strengthen all governments' capacity to deliver inclusive, resilient, and trusted growth for the Nigerian people, and so we can achieve the targeted $1 trillion economy. On that note, I thank you all, and I wish us a productive and impactful conference. Thank you very much for listening to me.
It is an honor to address the August Council on behalf of the Nigeria Development Partners Group at a moment when Nigeria is shaping the next phase of its national development journey. And Your Excellency, permit me to introduce my co-chair, Dr. Karen Jansen, and members of the Nigeria Development Partners Group who are here also. Today's discussion goes to the heart of the country's ambition: how to deliver inclusive growth, translate reforms into results, and ensure that national progress is felt by citizens in every state and in every community. We welcome today's discussion on delivering inclusive growth and sustainable development in the context of the renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030. We recognize that this plan is still being shaped, and we commend the government of Nigeria for grounding this process in ambition, in consultation, and a clear focus on delivery. From the collective perspective of development partners, we particularly welcome the government's bold ambition to build a $1 trillion economy. This speaks to scale, productivity, and competitiveness, and critically, to ensure that growth translates into opportunity and improved livelihoods for citizens. In this context, development partners commend His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and His Excellency the Vice President for setting the pace through landmark reforms that provide a strong foundation and a clear policy signal to realize this ambition. We are also encouraged by the President and the Vice President's commitment to taking development to where people live, notably through the ward-based development system. This people-centered approach has the potential to strengthen accountability, improve service delivery, and ensure that national ambitions are felt in everyday lives of citizens. Your Excellency, as an Igbo saying reminds us, when the drumbeat changes, the dancers must listen carefully. In this spirit, the Nigeria Development Partners Group has been deliberately reorganizing itself to accompany the government of Nigeria in a more collective, in a more strategic, and in a more impact-oriented manner. Through this repositioning, the development partners have identified 4 priority areas where we seek to collectively accompany national and subnational efforts. 1, inclusive growth. 2, governance and democracy. 3, security and stability. And 4, finance and development. Across these areas, our focus is on alignment with national priorities, coherence across programs, and leveraging our combined resources, knowledge, and convening power to support delivery at scale and with speed. In this context, development partners also look to the government of Nigeria to sustain strong ownership and financial support across these pillars, particularly in strengthening security, harnessing Nigeria's diversity as a source of unity and resilience, and accelerating economic diversification to reduce poverty. Progress in these areas will be critical to translating reform momentum into tangible improvements in the lives of citizens across all states. Your Excellency, we are grateful to the government, particularly the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, as custodian of development cooperation, for the continued partnership in strengthening coordination and ensuring that development cooperation remains firmly aligned with Nigeria's aspirations. Your Excellency, looking ahead, we see value in elevating this partnership further. In this regard, the Nigeria Development Partners Group would welcome the establishment of a high-level strategic engagement with the National Economic Council convened once a year to jointly reflect on progress, align around priorities, and deepen collaboration on Nigeria's most pressing development challenges and opportunities. Such a platform would help anchor our partnership at a strategic level while complementing the strong technical engagements that already exist. In closing, Your Excellency, let me reaffirm, on behalf of the Nigeria Development Partners Group, our strong commitment to working with the federal government, state governments, and the National Economic Council to advance a more prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Nigeria. Thank you for the opportunity to address this distinguished council. I wish you fruitful deliberations.